Hi, I'm Simone W. Johnson Smith, and welcome to the Immigrant Experience in America. Are you a professional new to the United States and struggling to monetize the expertise you brought across the seas? Are you feeling misunderstood and out of touch because you're struggling to understand the unstated rules of the American culture? Each week, we'll take an in-depth look at the positive contributions immigrants are making to the American culture, marketplace, and life. Our intention is to serve as a bridge from your culture to the American culture, giving you a roadmap of tools and the language to understand the unstated rules of the American culture. Let's get started. Happy 2023. And welcome to the Immigrant Experience in America, where we amplify and humanize the experiences of immigrants in the United States and around the world. Hope you are having a great start to the new year, and we are excited to join you again for another season 2. On a recent flight, I was watching an episode of a Frontline documentary on trafficking in the United States and was so moved. I actually felt like I needed to do an episode on trafficking in persons. And so realizing afterwards that January 11th is National Human Trafficking Awareness Day. Today, I'll be sharing with you some very concerning statistics that you can find at Department of State website and some other websites out there who are tracking the ongoing situation surrounding human trafficking. So here are some stats. So human trafficking tends to occur around international travel. For example, the airports that are having lots of international travel coming through them with large immigrant population, notably in California, Texas, and Georgia. The Department of Justice is estimating that between 35,500 and 170,500 people enter illegally into the country every year. And this is where the concern for human trafficking comes in. According to the Department of State, anywhere from 14,500 to about 17,500 people are trafficked into the United States every year. And of concern is sex trafficking in the United States, which is a form of human trafficking which involves reproductive slavery or commercial sexual exploitation as determined by the Department of State. And it occurs right here in the United States, in all 50 states, actually, in our backyard. And I encourage you to check out the documentary by Frontline called Trafficking in America. I think there's at least 2 of them out there. They did 2 different episodes, and it's quite eye-opening. And for those of you who might be listening outside of the United States and might be considering migration to the US, I do encourage you to do some research and look out for your daughters, all of your children, but primarily for your girls. It appears that girls are being trafficked way more than males and are being sold into sexual slavery is the term that's being used these days. These children are often very young. I heard of a story of a little girl, 4 years old, that was sold. I recently saw the documentary by Frontline documenting the story of a 16-year-old who ran away from home as she was communicating with someone via some social media platform. These people are actively going after young children as they are on social media. There's different websites that they're connecting to our girls and somehow convince them to run away from home. And once they're in the hands of these people, then you can only imagine what it leads to. And so the documentary shows law enforcement doing whatever it can to get these young ladies to safety and to get those involved arrested and prosecuted. Just be aware that there are so many girls or so many people being trafficked illegally into the US. And I know some people might be thinking, oh, the United States or any other developed country has a lot of opportunity for work. It might seem like it's the golden ticket when somebody gives you a promise of a job, but oftentimes things change once people arrive on the other side. And so I implore you to research and make sure that you actually know what situations you yourself or other family members or friends are getting into before you find yourself in a very bad situation that could cause trauma and harm. It's become quite a big issue here in the United States, where the US government has the Trafficking Victims Protection Act, called TVPA, of the year 2000. And this is the US government's commitment to combating human trafficking within the United States and internationally. In 2010, President Obama issued a presidential proclamation declaring National Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention Month. So, this is why January is celebrated as National Human Trafficking Prevention Month. And in particular, January 11th is highlighted as National Human Trafficking Awareness Day. So be aware and do your best to try and protect your young ladies around you, young females. I suppose it could also happen to a male. Just be aware of some of these very concerning situations where your children or family members or friends or other acquaintances could get themselves involved or sold off to debt bondage, sexual slavery, just so many issues here as we speak of the issue of trafficking in persons. So just wanted to highlight that for you as we celebrate National Human Trafficking Awareness Day coming up here on the 11th. I wanted to put an alert out there for trafficking for everyone to be aware of this issue. If you've never heard about it, go ahead and do your research. You'll be surprised just how concerning the issue has become for law enforcement and for parents. I wanted to end this episode, a very short one, to also encourage you this year, 2023, to put on your mask first. So when we're on a plane, if you've ever flown anywhere, it's always recommended that if we are experiencing any sort of turbulence or situation where we might need extra oxygen, that you put on your mask first before helping anyone, even if there are children with you, because if you don't have your mask on, you potentially could pass out and you are no use or help to anyone. So I'm encouraging you as you go along your immigrant journey in the United States or elsewhere around the world to put on your mask first. I'm still learning this boundary. And for those of us who've grown up in communal cultures, high context cultures, large families, it's ingrained in us. We look out for each other, we look out for our communities, and oftentimes it can become a bit imbalanced where we neglect ourselves and we get so overwhelmed by what's going on with everybody else around us, and our needs and self-care are not taken care of. But just remember, your community is as strong as you are, right? If you're depleted, if you're exhausted, you are no use to anyone. So if you are healthy, eating well, resting well, exercising, putting in whatever time you need to, whether it's doing that spiritual time or whatever replenishes you. If you are doing that and you are full, then you can give to others from a place of abundance, from a place of overflow. I am learning that this is so much more of a better place to give from. And I do recognize that at times there are needs around us and our cups might not be full and overflowing. But the fact is that the needs exist and it requires of us to give from what we have and give of ourselves. I get that. But if you do have the opportunity to take care of yourself, to make sure you're healthy and that you're giving from a place of fullness, a place of overflow, a place of abundance, you give it out of joy. Those people around you will experience you in your fullness. it's so much more for me. I've understood now. It's a better place to give from, right? It saves you from burnout. So I encourage you this year, 23, put on your own mask first. And then we can be strong enough to be of service to our families, our communities, and to the larger society. Walk good, take care, and I'm wishing you that 2023 will be your best year yet. Tune in next week for another episode of The Immigrant Experience in America. As this is a new podcast, we welcome any and all support. If you have not done so already, subscribe on the Apple Podcast app, Google Podcast app, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you listen. You can also support us by completing a 5-star rating and review and sharing our podcast with your friends, family, and circle of influence.